All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's so nice to see you. Good morning. My name is Sophia Pfiffner, and I'm the president and CEO of the Columbus Metropolitan Club. At CMC, we ignite powerful conversations, champion bold ideas, and create connections that truly shape the future of our region. If today's your first time joining us, or if you're new to CMC, if you could please raise your hand so we can give you a warm welcome.
Listen.
Nice to see you all. If you have any questions about the Columbus Metropolitan Club, please feel free to reach out to myself, Lainey, Christopher, Doug. We're happy to chat about the mission of our organization and what we do every single week. Before we dive into today's presentation, we want to take a moment to silence your ringers and your phones. We have a live stream. We have individuals who are tuning in from across the region to tune in and listen to today's conversation. And we also have a very short business meeting that we'd like to conduct to help with our members here today. So as some of you may know, from time to time, CMC makes changes to our code of regulations as a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And so for the past several weeks, we've had several proposed changes posted to our website for consideration. Do I have a motion from a CMC member in the audience to adopt the proposed changes to Article 13 and 14 of the Columbus Metropolitan Club Code of Regulations? Do I have a second? Thank you. All members in favor, can you please say aye? Any opposed, please say no. All right. Thank you, everyone. That motion has passed. We're also starting a bit early today because we do this every single year. Today as a downtown-focused forum, which includes a presentation from this year's Harrison Smith Smithy Award for Excellence in Downtown Development. So we are thrilled to be joined once again by representatives from the Downtown Commission to present this year's Smithy. Please welcome Downtown Commission Chair Steve Whitman and Jana Manaachi.
Good morning, about to be good afternoon. I'm Steve Whitman. I'm the chair of the Downtown Commission. The Downtown Commission was put together by legislation in 1997, and we are the ones that control a zoning clearance for everything within the downtown zoning district, which is roughly bounded by I-670 Interbelt, around the three sides, and then the railroad tracks on the west side of the river. This year we have reviewed 69 cases in total through through December. And then where the city staff has issued 177 administrative staff approvals. So we've had a good year, a busy year, and of course what that means is there is wonderful activity in the downtown district of Columbus, Ohio. And so today, what I would like to say is that our Harrison Smith Award for 2025 is a little bit different wrinkle. What we've got today is the intersection of High Street and Gay Street. So it's actually a place. And obviously everybody in this room has seen what's happened there. This is a classic, wonderful example of mixed use development and redevelopment. It's a combination of new construction, it's a combination of old construction, it's a combination of residential, commercial uses, wonderful restaurants, store spaces, and so on. The buildings that we're talking about, the buildings we're talking about are the Nicholas on the northwest corner, the Madison's redevelopment along the northeast corner, the Citizens Trust Building on the southwest corner, and Dollar Savings Building on the southeast corner. And not to be forgotten is the art piece that floats over the intersection itself, the name of which is Current, which was designed by Janet Eshelman, a very well-known international artist. And that actually, that piece of art was the 2023 Harrison Smith Award winner. So it's a very wonderful, interesting place. And with that, let's move on. I'm going to let Jana say a few words about the recipients today, and then we will go ahead and ask them to come up and receive their certificates. Thank you.
Hello, everybody, and happy holidays. I'm Jana Maniaci, the Vice Chair of the Downtown Commission, and I just want to say that this recipient today truly exemplifies Harrison's vision and passion for a creative, inclusive, diverse, actually joyful downtown that creates a sense of place and innovation and gives our city depth and character. I think Steve mentioned that the Nicholas, the Madison redevelopment, the Citizens Trust building, and the Dollar Savings Bank are part of that redevelopment, and floating over that in the middle is that current sculpture. So I will name all of the recipients that were involved in this marvelous redevelopment over the years and just say that I'm just proud and touched that as a community, the developers, architects, everyone that is involved in downtown development or just involved in downtown in any way has contributed to the success and the beauty and the diversity of our city. So thank you all, and thank you all for being here. And thank you in your way keeping Harrison's legacy and passion alive. The recipients today, and if I call your name, please come up and receive your award. The Edwards Company. Okay. Kephart. Rockbridge Make Ready. SMBH Structural Engineering. Day Companies. And Myers and Associates Architecture. Okay. Well, thank you all very much, and happy holidays.
All right, thank you so much, Steve and Jana. We really appreciate the opportunity to celebrate downtown development. For those of you who are in the audience, we're going to get ready for today's forum. So if you have a moment, feel free to refresh your drinks, make sure you get something to eat, and we will get restarted in just a few minutes. Thanks so much. afternoon. Welcome back and welcome to The Forum, a weekly program of the Columbus Metro Club where we cultivate the conversations and connections that truly drive our region forward. The Forum brings together visionary leaders, CEOs, members of Congress, college presidents, UN ambassadors, artists, and change makers to examine issues that truly matter, exchange diverse perspectives, and forge connections that create a better Columbus. My name is Sophia Pfiffner. I'm the president and CEO of the Columbus Metropolitan Club. And for those of you who are joining via our live stream, we're coming to you from the beautiful National Veterans and Memorial Museum in downtown Columbus. Thank you so much to the Harrison Smith Legacy and Civic Engagement Fund for making today's forum possible, and to our sponsors, Downtown Columbus Incorporated, Event Marketing Strategies, MKSK, and the Robert Weiler Company for continuing to support conversations just like this. We'd also like to thank Downtown Columbus Incorporated for providing today's complimentary parking, so hooray for free parking for those of us who are joining in person. And thanking to our presenting sponsor of our live stream, the Center for Human Kindness at the Columbus Foundation, and our partners at the Columbus Dispatch and the Columbus Metropolitan Library. And again, we couldn't say thank you enough to the National Veterans and Memorial Museum for hosting us. As you can tell, every CMC conversation takes a village, so let's give everyone a round of applause. Today's forward-looking conversation is CMC's annual State of Downtown. With our speakers, we'll be taking stock of the new efforts to build a safer and stronger downtown as Columbus prepares for 40,000 downtown residents and 120,000 workers by 2040. That's a lot. So please help me in welcoming today's incredible panel: Greg Davies, CEO of Downtown Columbus Incorporated; Robin Davis, Executive Director of Safer Downtown. Standing in today for Commander Dwayne Marby, whom we wish a speedy recovery from surgery, is Smith Weir, Deputy Chief of the Columbus Division of Police. And your host, returning once again to CMC, is Don Tyler Lee, former Deputy Chief of Staff for the City of Columbus and the founder and CEO of Forrest Street Consulting. I love the pizzazz. I'm here for it. All right, before Don begins today's panel conversation, we're going to set the stage, as we do every year with the State of Downtown Report. Sharing the newest update is the CEO of Downtown Columbus, Amy Taylor. Amy, welcome back to CMC.
Hello. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I'm Amy Taylor. I'm the president at Downtown Columbus, Inc. And I wanted to start off, I thought it was appropriate, given that we just had the Harrison Smith Award, to start off with one of my favorite urban planning quotes. I know you're all at the edge of your seats to hear this one. Designing a dream city is easy. Rebuilding a living one takes imagination. And Jane Jacobs, when she wrote that, I think really understood what a lot of us in this room do. And it's not starting from scratch. This isn't a sim city. This is starting with things that are working, some things that aren't working, and trying to infuse authenticity into the city that we love. But what does that mean practically to rebuild a living city? Well, my daughter has grown up with downtown. She was the first kid through the Scioto Mile Fountain. She is 17 years old now. She has been to Columbus Commons for most of her birthday parties and can speak Urbanista pretty well. We would go to volleyball games. We would see other downtowns. She always saw that as an important place because she understood that downtown is a place where everybody could belong. And now that she is a senior in college, she is only looking at colleges and universities that are part of a major metro area, Ohio State being her top choice. And she is doing that because she sees it. And I think that's the key to what Jane Jacobs was talking about. It's building a downtown that's intergenerational, that is about everyone and for everyone, that you can have a different worldview and coexist with someone and maybe even learn from them. And what we've done in downtown Columbus is create spaces, public spaces, private spaces that allow for that. And I think that's that key. So I'm excited to be up here today on behalf of our Board of Trustees, my colleague Greg Davies, the CEO of our organization, the great team that's out here and the many partners that I see to present the state of downtown. But I'll give you the headliner first. The state of downtown is very strong, but the exciting part is that the future is even better. Before we get into specifics, I'll just quickly highlight what Sophia mentioned. In 2022, we did a downtown strategic plan. We talked to thousands of people in the community, hopefully many of you, and what we heard is what the future of their downtown wanted to be, and they created some really key things. First of all, downtown is a donor district, and what that means is that while it's 1% of the city's land mass, it's 16% of the city's income tax. And Mayor Ginther and the administration use that city income tax to fund things in the neighborhoods, and that's a really important thing that downtown provides. We also know that it's an anchor for a region. You can't be the suburb of nothing. But when we engaged with the community, they said they wanted us to double down on residential. They really wanted to get to 40,000 residents by 2040. And I think the reason that they grappled with that is that if you can get people to live downtown, getting them to work downtown and play downtown seems easy. So it has been a huge focus and function of our organization. So as we talk about the future, I'm going to share a little bit about employment and about some great visiting things. There's even going to be a little breadcrumb, which is appropriate for what I'm going to talk about throughout it. And we're going to talk about entertainment, but a lot of that is because that's what it takes to get downtown to be that key residential neighborhood. It's the cornerstone, and we've been nurturing that. So I'm excited to say that in the past year, 770 new residential units have come online, bringing our residential total to. And the exciting part is we are starting to get some of those really crucial which is almost 20 comments, and we were talking about the Scioto Mile, and no one wanted to hear that because the barometer for success was whether we were going to bring a grocery store. And I think all of my colleagues who work for DCI would say it was really exciting when we got to share the announcement that Giant Eagle will be coming right across the road, and they're bringing a 20,000 square foot Giant Eagle that's going to have all those great amenities for downtown living, working, and playing. And while they're not going to open tomorrow, the announcement and the work towards it is really exciting. Other cool projects that have opened is the Pembroke, which is just on Broad Street, a little bit north of the PNC Center, which just opened last year. And if you haven't been to Butcher and Rose, I highly recommend the lobster rolls. And those are some exciting projects that we've seen. Continental Tower, transforming an office building to 409 residential units is a coup. And in fact, a lot of times people keep saying it can't be done. But here in Columbus, in downtown Columbus, we're doing it and proving them wrong. And so that's an exciting project, again, steps away from one of my favorite places, Poke Bunny. So if downtown's a three-legged stool, and residential is the first, the second is workforce. In fact, the really thing about downtown is it's that crossroads of commerce and culture. And you start feeling like if all downtown was office, we used to say, we needed to have more of other things. Remind people why coming into the office was important. So I'm excited to announce that in 2025, 90,000 employees work downtown, but more importantly, they made 11.5 million trips downtown to the office, about 700,000 more than last year. So as I told you, this year's news is great, but the most exciting is the projection and the trajectory of where we're going for next year. The third leg of the stool is retail, and it's the one because it is an important component of what people view as a central and a successful downtown. There are 224 retailers downtown, and we did welcome 20 new businesses. we are trying to not just make sure that downtown has retail, but the retailers look and feel like our retail in strategic critical gaps. We opened 3 new retailers this year: Evolvery Clothing, Nostalgic, and Quality Wellness and Fitness, and they join the 3 Bites and Black Kahawa. Both are on Broad Street, and if you have not tried 3 Bites Bombolone, it is worth every calorie. And I love the espresso martini at Black Kahawa. But they don't just join ground floor growth things. We've got Artisans and right there at the corner of Gay and High, just won the Harrison Smith Award for that space. But it's because it's populated with great things like Hanks and Chouette and Veritas, and now Artisan and, which is a great place you can go and get home goods. Glamazon Jane, Cure Coffee and Cocktails, and we just announced a new concept. We were really excited to do this by Chef Josh Dalton of Veritas and Spec, and he's going into the new Milestone space, or the Milestone space. He'll be the new restaurateur later this year. So the good announcements keep on coming. And then we've had 6.7 million visitors this year. Arts and cultural anchors. If you haven't seen the Nutcracker, it's going, and so many people connect with downtown through that experience. And Six is back, so you can come and see that. But we had at Columbus Commons 250 events this year. We're knocking out any kind of attendance records we had pre-COVID. And that's because I think people want to be in a place where they feel like they do belong. And places like Columbus Commons, the riverfront, the theaters, the wonderful sports amenities that we have, all of those allow us to do that. Go to Commons concert. We brought in Nelly so you could have fun and dance with 5,000 of your favorite people, and get a taco at Condado. Or you can, when we closed High Street for Open Streets, it was a great time to check out some of the ground floor growth businesses at Evolvery, or go see more than 500,000 holiday lights for free all throughout downtown, and those will be open through February, and grab a hot chocolate at Tortilla. So there are so many things going on, and that's what really builds the foundation of the state of downtown. And more than $475 million worth of projects were completed in this year alone, with 1.72 billion projects as we under construction, including 100 North High. That's a great Edwards project that's going to fill in one of the remaining gaps. You can just head to Chouette. Merchant Tower, which is Rockbridge, and it's really bringing a new skyscraper to our city, and enjoy some of the things at the North Market. Or Lots at 40 Long, which is the former YMCA building, where you've got WODA putting in 120 units of affordable housing, because again, believable belongingness means for everyone. And you can go right across the street to Cravings. We also started construction on Peninsula Phase 1B, 140 units there, and it's going to not just have the Giant Eagle, but also fill in a key space, and head to Little West Tavern. And the final thing I want to talk about is Eds and Meds. They are core in any downtown, and we are certainly part of that. Ohio Health and their $400 million investment with Grant Medical Center, and those 3,500 healthcare jobs have never worked from home. They're coming in every day, they're eating at places, they're going to shows right after work, and they're making our downtown feel lively. The Ohio Health Hall at Columbus State, $120 million public-private partnership that will ramp up learning in that pipeline. And Opportunity Point, 166 units of workforce housing. And again, head right over to Degrees, which is the restaurant that Columbus State has. And so if you've been looking for a connection in all of this, I've hopefully whetted your appetite to try some of the many wonderful restaurants and places that we have downtown, because it's through coming from wherever you live and having those great experiences that really fosters and fuels the downtown of the future. Another thing that we are excited about, and we'll hopefully be able to share next year, is when we get through the Capitol line. But construction is set to start next month on this connection point throughout the community that's going to go down through Gay Street in Phase 1. But that is just the start, not the finish. And we can't wait for that opening in mid-2017. So I started this off by saying the future is bright, and hopefully the sun is helping with my messaging by ensuring that you see that it is. And the interesting part is all of this came from the strategic plan. I always say that if you listen to the community, you're never going to go wrong because they actually really get what they want and they deliver on it. But the thing they said at the heart of everything bullet. I could be announcing not just 22 new retailers, but 100 new retailers. But if they don't feel safe coming downtown, they won't do it. And I think that is an important point. What you're going to hear from this esteemed panel is that it is safe downtown, and I'm going to tell you that too. But we fight a pop culture battle because every headline is steps away from downtown, even if it's miles away. And every pop culture story has the siren all focused among skyscrapers. So the important thing is to listen to these experts and hear where we are and where we're going and not the perception. But this is an important place where reality is very important. So I'd like to reintroduce Dawn Tyler Lee, who's going to take it from here. And I thank you very much.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Amy, for laying the foundation for our conversation. I like to pride myself as someone who keeps her finger of the city, but I have to say I learned about quite a few new places that I need to try out, and I feel really blessed to live in a city that has such a thriving downtown, and we're going to talk more about that today. Good afternoon, Columbus. Downtown is in a moment of remarkable momentum. New residents, more workers returning, major development underway, and events throughout the year drawing people from all over. With that growth comes an even stronger commitment to ensuring our city's core is clean, safe, and welcoming. Today, we're here to talk about what work looks like right now and how a coordinated network of partners is shaping a downtown where people feel confident and supported. We are joined by 3 leaders who are at the center of this work, each bringing a different perspective. And I'll start by introducing my old boss. I don't know how Robin feels, but I'm having a little PTSD waiting for Greg Davies to start barking orders at us. A dear friend and was a great boss to me, and I have a debt of gratitude for all that I learned from him. Greg is now the president and CEO of Downtown Columbus, Inc., where he oversees the strategy, partnerships, and investment behind downtown's growth, including making sure that safety and cleanliness match the scale and pace of a fast-growing urban core. Please welcome I'm just kidding. Please welcome Greg Davies. And Robin Davis is the executive director of Safer Downtown, the team delivering on-the-ground work, ambassadors, cleaning crews, outreach specialists, and the 24/7 command center that supports immediate response. Welcome, Robin Davis. And Deputy Chief Smith Weir, who leads the Columbus Division of Police's work in the downtown district, coordinating closely with Safer Downtown to ensure responsive, community-centered safety. Thank you, Deputy Chief. It's great to see so many former colleagues here from the city, the university, CMC, and I've already given a heads up to Mike Stevens and Elon Sims that if there's any heckling, Deputy Chief Weir will be escorting you out. So please make sure you're on your best behavior. All right, let's get started. I know our time will go by quickly and we have a lot of ground we want to cover. So I'd like to start with Greg. Greg, as downtown grows, how would you describe what safety looks like today? And what does success look like as this great momentum that Amy just laid out continues?
Thank you, Dawn. It's good to see you again. And I had PTSD worrying you're going to ask me a bunch of tough questions today, so I think I'm still a little more nervous than you. But thank you for having me. To answer the question, I think safety, Amy and I took our positions in 21, right after COVID. And there was a perception, I would argue it was all perception, that downtown wasn't safe. And it was because there was nobody downtown. So a lot of the issues that people encountered, there just wasn't a lot of people to buffer them from it. So it wasn't that it was unsafe. I think the deputy chief will tell you that. The statistics, it's one of the safer neighborhoods in Columbus. But the perception was real. And the business community in the city got together and they felt that we could evolve, that we were evolving as a city and we needed to evolve our safety. We were doing a lot of safety with private officers from special duty officers from the city. We had private security that patrolled our assets, but it wasn't all coordinated. And so what we did is looked at best practices, and we went up to Detroit. First, we looked at Ohio State, and Ohio State did a great job with cameras, and we learned a ton about force multipliers from the university. And we were able to take that up to Detroit, where they had done a large-scale project, and we actually brought back the gentleman that ran that. And we created Safer Downtown. And the idea was the business community, through the Columbus Partnership, really wanted to feel that downtown was all connected. And so we had large institutions like the Huntington, Franklin, all of the big. The city had some security, the SIDS had some security, we had some security, but it wasn't all connected. And we thought, how can we leverage all that? And so that was the exercise for what it is. To answer your question, what it looked like in the future, I think success to me looks like, I know it's safe, but success to me looks like people coming downtown tell people it's safe and encourage people to come downtown. And visitors that come feel safe, and we get the activity that we're looking for.
Thank you, Greg. And Robin, to follow up on that, we are all familiar with the ambassadors who work downtown to keep our downtown clean and safe. But Safer Downtown is much more than just the ambassadors. Can you talk a little bit about what Safer Downtown is and how the system is structured?
Sure, thank you, Dawn, and it's great to be here. Thanks to all of you for being here. Safer Downtown's mission is simple. It is to create and maintain a safe, clean, and welcoming city. Period. And we do that through our ambassadors. We have ambassadors who are out cleaning the streets. They are offering supplemental safety to what our wonderful CPD officers are able to do. They will give you an escort if you're working late and you need a ride from your office, a walk from your office to your car. If you're visiting one of the restaurants and you need a walk to your car, they'll do that. I know that they also do a lot of escorts with our Cristo Rey High School students. They will make sure that they're getting to their places of employment, they're getting on the bus. If you were downtown at all, Sunday and Monday, you saw our ambassadors out there and they were cleaning the curb. We think that public service does an awesome job with plowing the streets, but when you plow a street, you're kind of blocking the curbs. So our ambassadors go out and they clean those curbs so they're safe and people can cross the street safely. They also do things that if they weren't doing them, you would notice it, but you may not notice now. They clean graffiti, they clean up trash, they help to take care of homeless folks, people who are experiencing homelessness. If we get a call from someone and they say, we've got someone who has slept in our doorway overnight, they will be able to engage with them. We also have 4 full-time outreach specialists from Mount Carmel, and they work to build trust with the homeless population, help to work more long-term, not just to move them from one doorway to the next, move them another block, or move them to another neighborhood. They're working to make sure that they can get them into permanent supportive housing. Do they need mental health help? Do they need substance abuse help? Do they need medical help? And our outreach specialists do that. We also work very closely with CPD. We hire a number of special duty officers almost every day. They patrol only our area, only our boundaries, and they work really closely with our ambassadors. Our ambassadors can say, we're seeing a little bit happening here, and vice versa. Special duty can also tell us, hey, we're seeing a lot of activity here. Let's double down. Let's make sure we're all focusing on that area. And finally, we're able to do all of this through a command center that's actually built in the Lazarus building. We have more than 150 cameras. We're hoping to get it up to 200 in the next year that we can watch and we can monitor and we can give that information to CPD if anything's happening. And let me be clear, we're not sitting there watching, you're out there walking your dog every day. We don't care. We don't have time for that. Good for you. But if something happens, it's really important to have that video footage. And so we're able to put that all together, and we work with a number of other partners to be able to make that happen.
Awesome. Thank you, Robin. I learned a lot more about what our ambassadors are doing. I wasn't familiar with all of those services, so thank you for that. Deputy Chief Weir, so there's a lot of conversation about crime data downtown. I'd love for you to share some of the facts about downtown and safety.
Well, thank you. I think the oversimplistic picture is that violent crime is roughly down. And what does that look like? Well, over the course of the past 6 years, we've had a high of 4 homicides downtown in 1 year. This year, we're at 2. Our aggravated assaults or felony assaults this year in the downtown area. Roughly up and down, our violent crime is down. This year, we're 30% down in thefts from automobiles. We're 15% down in burglaries, and we're 20% down in thefts all in the downtown district. Now, that being said, that's 30% less theft from automobiles from last year. We're coming off a 3-year run where nationally, thefts from automobiles was the crime of the day throughout the country, where it became the fad. So our numbers are still way up from where we were 6 years ago. And I say that because every resident, every worker, everybody who works and lives downtown has seen the effect or felt the effect of, thefts from automobiles or some kind of theft. So I don't want to sit up here and say we're where we want to be yet with that. But certainly the signs are promising. Violent crime is very promising. In terms of the stats, property crime this year, we're starting to see the trends move in a positive direction. So that's been a good sign.
Thank you. That's great news. And I just want to make sure that we're clear about the boundaries that we're talking about when we say downtown, because people may think of it differently. Robin, can you talk to us about the boundaries and what exactly is downtown?
Sure. And this isn't something that we made up. It's something that's actually in city code. So the boundaries are the railroad tracks back here. I hope I'm pointing in the right direction. It's I-70 to the south. It is 71 to the east, and then 670 to the north. You may think, and if people who don't live downtown, maybe don't work downtown, may include the short north, or they may say German Village, that's all part of downtown. It is all part of the experience of the core, but those are not areas specifically downtown and where we're offering services.
Thank you. I want to talk a little bit about partnership, and as we know, partnership is really what makes our city go round. One of our hometown favorites, Donato's, used to have a tagline that says, "Every piece is important." Now the tagline has got to love more, but that's for another day. But every piece is important, I think, really describes the partnerships downtown. Greg, can you talk a little bit about how Safer Downtown is supported by property owners, city, law enforcement, and outreach partners? How is this responsibility shared? And then, Robin, you talked about this a little bit, but if you want to share any more specifics, how does this shared ownership show up day to day on the ground?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think I started to answer that a little bit when I said how Safer Downtown became to be what it is. A lot of the corporate community was working with Mayor Ginther. That was very important. We also have partnered with the city and everybody I described, but without the partnership, we would not have been able to build out the space that we have. We built it in the Lazarus building, which is where our offices are housed. In addition to that, there's so many other people that touch it, and the SIDS themselves did a lot of stuff with us, and we were very hopeful that we could continue to work with them and merge groups, and we just couldn't come to that recognition. But the idea was exactly what Dawn said, that this had to be a global thing. This couldn't be one organization doing this, one organization doing this, and one organization doing that. So without the partners, and we have got $1.25 million from the state of Ohio through a capital program to pay for some cameras, an additional 100 cameras that we're going to have. The large corporations that I described, they have given us access to all their cameras, so we're able to monitor in real time our cameras, their cameras, and get an entire footprint of downtown instead of just having to go to individual owners or individual places. That's very difficult to do. And in talking to the deputy chief recently, he said that so many crimes have been solved now through technology that just weren't solved, 20 years ago. And I think that partnership and all of us recognizing we had to work together has really ramped this up to a new level.
And I agree with all of that. The command center that we have with the cameras, there are cameras. They are other cameras that other property owners have allowed us to see all outside. So we can follow things in real time as they happen. Other partnerships that we have, of course, with CPD, we also work with the city attorney's office. If we're hearing about a property that might be having after hours parties or is serving people who are not of age to be drinking alcohol, we can work with the city attorney's office to get their liquor license revoked or get them closed on a nuisance order. And that's something that's very good for everyone in the neighborhood. We have a very engaged resident population downtown. So they will reach out to us and tell us things that they're seeing, things that they hear, and we're able to follow up on that. We can do the same thing with all of our partner organizations. The Nationwide, Edwards, Grant Hospital, Columbus State, and we can share information. We meet quarterly, but we talk to each other all the time, something that we're seeing, an issue, an area, and what can we do as a community, as a downtown community, as Safer Downtown to fix that. I do want to mention one other thing. You should all have on your table this card, and there is a nice little QR code on it. I would encourage you, whether you work downtown or visit downtown or live downtown, take a picture of that, put the QR code, put this phone number in your phone so that if you're downtown and you see something and you want to say something, you can call us. If you need something like an escort, if you need your car to be jumped, we can take care of that. And so just put that in there. That's how the information comes into us, in addition to our ambassadors who are out patrolling all the time.
So a couple different points I just kind of wanted to reinforce. Greg talked about technology and its use in police work. It is without a doubt been a game changer for policing, the ability to leverage technology when we're conducting investigations. It's pretty well known and been studied over the years and published in different studies that a small group of people commit a large amount of our crimes, right? So with that being said, a lot of our violent crimes specifically involve retaliatory violence. And as we try to interrupt or conduct interventions in that cycle of retaliatory violence, one of the best ways to do so is to solve crimes and to solve them quickly. And there is no greater factor in solving crimes than our ability to leverage technology. In 2022, we solved about 50% of homicides. Today, that's 85%. In 2022, we solved about 20% of non-fatal shootings. Today, that's 50%. Those would not be the case without our ability to leverage technology, and a big part of that is the ability to capture our violent crimes on camera, to be able to get that still shot, to get it out to the news, to get it out to our community partners, and ask for help in identifying individuals. It has been, without a doubt, the biggest factor in solving crimes, and I would suggest that that is one of the big factors in the ability citywide for us to drive down violent crime, has been solving shootings and homicides in a fast manner and get violent individuals off the streets. The other thing I wanted to talk about that Robin had brought up was place-based investigations. So when we look at crime and kind of the where it occurs at and how it occurs and how it organically kind of becomes a factor in a community, we look at three things. It's people, places, and behaviors. And if you had a Venn diagram, where they all intersect is where you're going to get a crime. So when we look at people, we're looking at specifically using data to figure out who exactly is committing the crimes. But when we look at places, it's what places attract the crimes. So when you drill down into the weeds on that, it's, you know, when you see 5 or 6 different crimes happening in a block or a 2-block radius, what is attracting those crimes to that area? And sometimes when we can identify that, whether it's tips from the community, whether it's our officers that are doing their homework, but when we can identify that, there are times where we can use mechanisms through the city law with the city attorney's office to do nuisance abatements, to use civil laws to close those businesses down, or to get compliance from those businesses through mediation or anything like that. So both of those factors kind of go back to the point of when all the city and private businesses and the community are all pulling in the same direction, we get a lot more accomplished.
Thank you for that. As we're talking about technology, and Robin mentioned the cameras earlier, 150 that'll be going up to 200. While that is a safety mechanism, we know it also may cause concern for some people who may feel like their privacy is threatened. Can you talk a little bit more about those tools and how we can ensure that people's privacy is being protected along the way?
Sure. So we've explained to you why the technology is working, but I can give you assurances. First of all, our cameras, we're not recording sound. We do have someone who is watching, usually multiple someones, who is watching the camera feeds live 24/7. But they are not looking for they are looking for crime, essentially. They are watching for groups that may be gathering. They are able to look back if we know a crime has happened. And that is with CPD and also CFD. There was a fire that had happened in a garage a couple of months ago. We were able to look back and give them camera footage of what we saw people coming in and out. And that was helpful in solving that. So I can't emphasize enough, go about your daily lives. We're not paying attention to that, but we are going to watch for things that are criminal, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that our city stays safe, clean, and welcoming.
I would like to add, we talk a lot about safety, and that's the whole point of what we're doing is clean and safe. But we're also, with our ambassadors, the idea is not to be a police force. The idea is to be welcoming. And the idea, as Robin pointed out with the homeless outreach, is to help. And we took our board to Phoenix a couple years ago, and a few of us were headed to dinner, and we were walking downtown, and a gentleman came up to me, and I was like, well, here we go. What's going to happen? And he's like, sir, you look lost. Can I help you find something? And he was an ambassador for the city of Phoenix. He walked us to our restaurant, was very proud of the city, talked about it. So we've also had conversations with Experience Columbus and the city and others and the deputy chief and Commander Mabry who works with us. They understand community policing. This isn't about being a force. This is about being a community. And so I really want to emphasize that while we're talking a lot about all the great tools that we have. The most important tool is doing this in a way that respects our citizenry and helps and brings in visitors. So wanted to make that point.
Yeah, just to reiterate that, when we talk to our officers about community policing, I go back to when I was a younger officer, and I tell people, the perception back then was that if community policing was passing out stickers to kids, I said, that's not community policing. Community policing is solving problems in your community. And that problem might be a quality of life issue, or it might be a violent crime. But either way, what we task our officers to is empower them to solve a problem and give them all these great resources and throughout the city and throughout the different nonprofits that we have to connect somebody to services or to take somebody to jail, but to solve the problem. And sometimes that means taking legal action, and sometimes it means referring them and connecting them to services. So to me, like I said, expanding community policing is not about just being at community events and passing out stickers and doing all those things. It's about being in the community, identifying what the problems in the community are, and solving the problem.
Thank you for that. I am going to ask a final two-part question for our panelists before we move to audience questions. And what I'd like to hear is, how can property owners, community members, those of us who live, work, play, or worship downtown strengthen your efforts that you have in place? And then secondly, what is your favorite thing to do downtown? Whoever would like to start.
My favorite thing, I love everything about downtown, but I really enjoy going to the Commons in the summer when we have our concerts or the picnic with the Pops and sitting there. And I remember the first time I went and looking at the buildings and being there, and I was born in Riverside Hospital, and to look up, I did not feel like I was in the city of Columbus. And it was a really cool feeling. So every time I sit there and watch a concert and I look around and it's a beautiful night and it's packed, and a lot of the concerts we provide are free, it's a great feeling to know that the town I grew up in, where you had to go to Cleveland or Cincinnati to see a concert, that welcoming, that beautiful, and that fun. So that's what always brings me back to it. And then the first part of the question, I apologize.
How people who live, work, or play downtown can support your efforts.
I think Robin described it. I think, getting that phone number and helping us with that. I think we are in the process, and Robin can give you greater detail, of going around and getting petitioned for the next 5 years to provide the level of services. We've gotten, in a very short period of time, a tremendous amount. We need 60% of the affected property owners. We're close to 35-40% right now, and we're just getting started. So doing that, and just when you see something, you let us know. I think you engage like any great neighborhood. I think if you go around the city, and I did that when I worked at the city quite a bit, the neighborhoods that really thrived were the neighborhoods that had great leadership, that had engagement, that had people talking to their police officers, talking to everybody, and I think that's really important. And we struggled with this early, but I think one of the great things the corporate community did, and the state and the county and the city, was we kept telling them, we need you to bring people back downtown to work. And so everybody recognizing that, working from home has its points, and there's times that it's going to work and Zooms, but in order for downtown to thrive, there has to be activity, and to have activity, there has to be people. And so that's been a great last couple of years where everybody's, I think, beginning to recognize that.
Before we go to Doug, Robin, and Deputy Chief Weir, any other ways we can support your efforts and your favorite thing to do downtown?
It's very hard to say what my favorite thing is because I have a lot, but I go almost daily to Black Kahawa for coffee, and this is what you order. You order the shaken espresso, iced shaken espresso with Zanzibar spice. Trust me, try it. It's really awesome. I will even walk in the cold weather and go do it. So love, love, love that, and I love that I have coffee shops to choose from, and they don't all begin with the letter S. As for things that you can do downtown and helping with partnership, the first thing I would tell you, if you're downtown and you see our ambassadors, whatever they're doing, just say thank you, because I don't think they get enough of that. They do work that if they weren't doing, like I said, you would really notice. Their work is so impressive. So just take a moment, say thank you. And then, as Greg said, we really will work best if we have everyone working together. So property owners, we encourage you, reach out if you need more information, but we would love to have everyone be part of the Safer Downtown initiative.
So I would say two things for my favorite things to do downtown is one is to go to the restaurants. I love going out downtown, but then two, sometimes when the weather's nicer, some other police officers and myself will run the side of the mile after work. And I'm usually the one struggling more. They tend to be up ahead of me, but that's a good time, and obviously it's nice to see the city from a different aspect. In terms of what the private sector can do to support the efforts, I always say that you can get a lot accomplished in this town if you don't care who gets the credit for it. So again, it's that Columbus way. It's private, public, working together, pulling in the same direction, and just be part of the solution.
Awesome, thank you. We have time for some audience questions. If you have a question, please make your way over to the microphone. If you're joining us on YouTube, please type your questions into the chat.
Very much, and thank you so much to today's panelists for a great conversation. I think my personal favorite downtown experience is kayaking on the Saeta, which was a lot of fun. If you have a question for today's panelists, please do join us here at the microphone. And again, if you're watching online, please type your questions in the chat. We'll try to get to as many of those questions as possible. Great questions at CMC always have two things in common, don't they? They can be asked in just a couple of sentences. And what punctuation mark does a question always end with? It should end with a question mark. Thank you very much to our repeat guests. I will launch us off with this one. What is the connection between Columbus's rezoning modernization efforts and increasing downtown density? What impact will the modernization of our rezoning code have on density?
Not sure that there's a safety component to that, but to answer your question, the answer would be not much, because downtown you can already pretty much build what you want. That's the great part of downtown, and we encourage people many times to build residential downtown, and other things is the zoning that is outside of the area does not apply to downtown. So it's a great opportunity. I'm not saying you can build whatever you want. Obviously, there's still rules and regulations, but in terms of the zoning code that is being referred to, I think that the areas they're trying to get outside of downtown more to reflect what we can do downtown. So I think we're already kind of ahead of the game in that sense.
Thank you so much. I'm Karen Huff, the founder and CEO of Improv Edge. My favorite title, however, is I'm the vice chair of the Board of Trustees of CAPA, the Columbus Association for the Performing Arts. We bring over 1,000 productions downtown every year, including those wonderful ones on the Commons. And my question is for any of the panelists. I was so interested to hear that you went to Detroit to get some best practices around camera work. Are there other sister cities or other aspirational practices where you have gone to visit a city that you want to bring back to us? Thank you.
I think in addition to Detroit, and I was not on that trip, but I've worked very closely with Cincinnati. It's called 3CDC. It's something that we have set up. We're kind of modeling after, in addition to some of the other cities. What we're looking at doing, bringing everything under one umbrella, in this case, Downtown Columbus, Inc. And that's what they've done as well. So you have your safety arm, your safety and cleanliness arm, you have your development arm, and that all works together. The folks at DCI, as Amy said, they do an amazing job with events, so we don't need another arm for that. They do that, they do the marketing, and they also do research. So we're looking at a lot of those, and we're willing to borrow, steal, if you will, other ideas that have been successful in other cities because we have a lot in common. I do speak regularly, though, to the folks in Cincinnati in particular.
So from a law enforcement standpoint, we have a R&D department that when we're looking at any kind of policy situation, we'll reach out to major cities across the country and find out what those cities do in terms of operations or policy. So that's a regular exchange of information, and they do likewise. They send information, ask questions of us, and ask what we do in certain situations. There have been other cities we've gone to where we physically visited their real-time crime centers, or we visited their, investigative agencies or their patrol operations, and look, how do you handle this, or how do you staff this? So there's a regular exchange of information along those lines. And yes, same kind of thing. It's, they want good ideas from us. We want good ideas from them. We want to see what works for them in other cities and see if it can be applied here.
Thank you. Our next question, please.
Thank you. I'm Scott Whitlock, member of Columbus Metropolitan Club and a trustee emeritus of CAPA. I applaud what you are doing to make downtown safer. From a residential standpoint, however, the choice is not between downtown Columbus and downtown in another major city. The choice is between downtown Columbus and suburbs. Statistically, how does downtown Columbus compare with the major suburbs here in Franklin County?
In terms of crime, sir?
Crime specifically, and other things by which you would measure safety.
So crime specifically, obviously downtown is still a little bit higher than some of the outlying suburbs, but that does not mean that the suburbs are immune from some of these crime sprees. I know that many of our suburbs have struggled with thefts from automobiles specifically, just like we all have. And we have taken steps to try to tackle that together as much as possible through the exchange of information. Early on, obviously we identified that a lot of the rise in the theft from automobile trend was with juveniles specifically. We developed a program called Next Gen, which used data and to identify repeat offenders and our major offenders in theft from automobiles specifically, and motor vehicle thefts. And that information was developed. It was also shared. It's shared with Ohio State University. It's shared with Dublin and Hilliard and Westerville and Pickerington and all the major suburbs that have police agencies that are seeking that information. We work with them all the time, Franklin County Sheriff's Office. So they have struggled with, know their exact data, off the top of my head like I do Columbus's. But at the same time, as a general rule, they do not have the violent crime that we do. But a lot of times crime is density driven, and we are the most dense neighborhood, in the region. So I guess that would be the answer to the question.
And I'll add just one other bit of that. You make a good point, not necessarily just for residents, but we hear often, and it breaks my heart every time, I don't want to go to see something at Ohio Theater because it's not safe, which is one reason that we have the ambassadors that can help with that. They also say that there's no parking, which is something altogether different. There's plenty of parking. But our ambassadors can really help with that. Sometimes the perception is different than the reality, and we are working really hard to make sure people know that it is a very safe community to live, work, and play.
Thank you, Mr. Whitlock. Our next question, please.
Hi, I'm Brian Williams, a semi-retired freelance writer. I've heard a lot about the vitality and the safety and social services, but I haven't heard references to the entity that was in charge of a lot of that for the last 25 years, the special improvement districts. I wonder if you could tell me about how the changeover, were there failures in the earlier thing that you're trying to do something different from what was done? What can we look for going forward?
So he is speaking about the special improvement districts, Capitol Crossroads and the Discovery District. As Greg said, we had worked with them for a couple years, hoping to bring them under the DCI umbrella because we had seen that worked in other cities. They laid an amazing foundation, a great foundation. But as Amy said, the city is going to have 40,000 residents. It's going to have 120,000 workers. And with that kind of growth, you have to be able to be scalable in what you're doing in terms of safety, cleanliness, and homelessness outreach. The plan that we have will do that through technology, through ambassadors, through special duty officers, and through a very coordinated initiative that involves public and private partners and every size of business and also residents.
Thank you. We have a few minutes left for a final question.
And it's me. Hi. My name is Audrey Rush. I'm the Director of Corporate Programs at the Wexner Center for the Arts, and I am a downtown resident, right between Continental Towers and Cure Coffee. So good to hear the shout out. My question is, I've really enjoyed seeing the growth of businesses and residential opportunities downtown. What is being done to assess and improve the pedestrian experience? And some specific things that I would be interested in is, as a downtown resident, I really appreciate that we have access to things like these scooters and e-bikes, and also see them being abandoned in flocks that make it inaccessible to get by on sidewalks, or seeing inconsistencies in sidewalk maintenance, particularly in the wintertime. Just wondering what that process is as we continue to expect more folks to enjoy downtown. What's the pedestrian experience going to look like?
I think it's going to improve dramatically. I think if you look at some of the initiatives we're doing, specifically the Capitol Line, which is a $100 million project, a 2-mile loop around a lot of the assets and opportunities to recreate that we've created downtown. You're going to see along Gay Street, you're going to see over at the Peninsula. I agree with you. Downtown is not a super walkable downtown now, but that is our goal. And it was designed a long time ago, and cities evolve, and I think Amy hit it perfectly. If this was a greenfield, we'd build the perfect city. Pedestrians would be right up front, but we're not. We're trying to work with what we have and make it better. And so it's a very costly initiative. I think the community spoke very loudly when they supported Link Us last November, which is going to get a lot of pedestrian stuff downtown. It's going to improve bus rapid transit, which will get less cars downtown. And so there's a lot of things to do that. But I totally agree with you. In our minds, the most important things are getting more people downtown, having stuff for them to do, making it easy to get around by foot, and being safe. And so I think we share the same vision, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's perfect, but it is definitely improving, and it will improve a great deal more.
The policing aspects, we're taking part in Vision Zero, which is a nationwide program that with the aspirational goal of someday getting pedestrian-related crashes down to zero in the city. So what they've done with that is, the They've been studying where the crashes have occurred with pedestrians, where our biggest weaknesses are, and specifically to downtown. Chief Bryant implemented a plan to add traffic cars to the zones. One of those has been added to Zone 5, which is the downtown zone, and they've been doing enforcement, traffic enforcement during heightened times when we've had those pedestrian-related accidents. They've been doing increased traffic enforcement, and that started in October, so it should be going, well into the new year as well.
And the only thing I would add is if you see something, there is something that's happening, take out this, call us, let us know. We will do everything we can to get it fixed.
Thank you.
Thank you to our panelists. I know Sophia is going to thank them as well, but let me express my gratitude to our panelists for today's conversation and to you, our audience. And now I will turn the program back over to our Madam CEO for closing remarks.
All right, well, thank you everyone for joining us for another conversation. Greg, you had a really great point that neighborhoods that thrive are neighborhoods with great leaders. And I think oftentimes when we think about leadership, I don't know about you, but I think about, well, that's the other person that's doing that work. But to me, every single person that's in this room today is contributing to a more thriving, vibrant downtown Columbus by participating in conversations like this. If you work downtown, if you live downtown, if you use the QR code and contact downtown to say, hey, I noticed this opportunity or problem, we're all creating a better space for everyone and preparing for that wonderful growth that we're expecting as a community. So with that, thank you so much to the Harrison Smith Legacy and Civic Engagement Fund for making today's forum possible. Thank you to Downtown Columbus Incorporated, Event Marketing Strategies, MKSK, and the Robert Weiler Company for supporting conversations like this. Thank you to our presenting sponsor, the Center for Human Kindness at the Columbus Foundation, and our wonderful partners, Downtown Columbus Incorporated and the Columbus Dispatch. We have a lot of thank yous. It's the end of the year. We have a lot of thank yous. So thank you to the National Veteran Memorial Museum for hosting conversations just like this. And another congratulations to this year's winners of the Smithy Award, the redevelopment of Gay and High Streets. And of course, thank you to our fantastic speakers for today's conversation. Amy Taylor, Greg Davies, Robin Davis, Smith Weir, and Don Tyler Lee. Thank you so much. Let's give them all a round of applause. If you're participating in civic conversations, you're probably somebody who also likes to read too, and we're so thankful to the Columbus Metropolitan Library for recommending a book to continue today's conversation, Walkable City, How Downtown Can Save America One Step at a Time by Jeff Speck. It's available at Columbus Metropolitan Library, so please feel free to check it out. We are going on a little bit of a holiday break for a couple of weeks, but we will be back on January 7th for the CMC's annual Blue Chip Economic Forecast. I'm just letting you know, if you haven't purchased your ticket, got to purchase your ticket. We're selling out pretty quickly. Happy holidays to everyone. I hope you have a wonderful new year, and we'll see you in January. Thanks so much.